everyone, welcome back. My name is Lynn. If you haven't been at my channel, I am so glad you're here today. And if you are regular, we're going to be talking about disability topics today. And I also know that that is not a topic for everyone, but it is for a select few people, and that is part of what my channel is all about. And I've had a lot of requests for topics on disability, and I haven't done one in a while. So I'm sitting in the parking lot of Home Depot and taking my mom out shopping today. So I have to do what I can do while I'm waiting for her. And I thought I'd throw up a quick video and answer some of the questions that I get continuously on the channel about living with a disability. So let me explain for those that are not familiar with me and my family. My husband has epilepsy. He has had it since he's 12 years old due to a car accident. And my youngest son is adopted and has 5 diagnoses, one of which is autism. Sorry, my earrings are catching on my hair. And he has some other diagnoses, but we'll just leave those private for now. And what is it like to live in a family? And what is it like to be the spouse of someone in a family who has a disability? I cannot speak for anyone else. I can't speak for other disabilities. I can only speak from my experience as a wife, as a mother, as a career woman, as the primary breadwinner of the family, and what it's been like to live with somebody who has a disability. So the struggles of a wife, I think, is what I really want to talk about today, or the struggles of a spouse, depending on where you're coming from. If I keep looking away, please forgive me. I'm in a parking lot and I just don't want anyone, walking up and chatting with me while I'm recording a video. But I would say some of the struggles that I have, I'll talk about some of the struggles, and I'm going to talk about some of the benefits. How's that? So some of the struggles have been, most of you don't have to wake up a few times during the evening to check to make sure your spouse is still breathing. This has become a normal part of my life. Whether he's had a seizure and I have to check his breathing, or just throughout the evening, I still have to check his breathing. There are times where he becomes so still, I don't know if he's seizuring or if he's having a problem. So that's one struggle. That will then lead to the struggle of always living in fear, always living in uncertainties, always living in stress. So you can only imagine. Another struggle is being the spouse of someone with a disability, and raising a family is constantly trying to create, at least I do, some normalcy in the home. What do I mean by that? Well, I didn't want my kids. So I didn't want my kids growing up in a house of fear and anxiety and stress and unsettledness and just feeling, I didn't want them to feel the pressure of what I felt. So I then had to compensate, and on the days my husband would have seizures, still try and create a normal environment where they felt safe and they had a safe haven. And on the days where my husband was just out of it, or maybe moody because of the seizures, any disability brings a whole ton of personality quirks and traits. And, again, I can only speak for my situation, but I didn't want my kids having hang-ups growing up because of growing up in our home. Now, I can't prevent everything. I'm not a perfect mom. I'm not a perfect parent. I'm not a perfect spouse. I did the best I could with what I had. I tried to create the most peaceful environment, the most creative and fun, normal household I could do, possibly. And I think my kids survived and they did okay. Both of them, I'm sure, there are triggers in any stressful situation, no matter how much you try and rise above it. There are going to be triggers in your life that, because of, I remember when. But my oldest son is a pastor, and he speaks highly of his dad and has a deep-rooted love for his dad and respect. And because I think I raised him in the best environment I could, that allowed him to see the best of his dad and not the worst. Our youngest son, who has a disability, I think respects and loves his dad even more so because they have something in common. And he can understand. He gets frustrated, I think, with, and I know with autism, it comes with its own bag of frustrations and ways to cope with life and all that. So he has his own things on top of having to deal with his dad. But we've still done, I think, pretty well in that. Now, I know some of you might be saying, well, is that right that you've protected them so much? And, shouldn't they really know what it was all about? They lived it. They lived it every day. They saw it every day. I didn't have to explain things to them. They knew what was going on, but mom just had to give them that safe place that they could still flourish and grow as a person and become the best adult possible. And that was my responsibility. And there were times I had to be both mom and dad. That would be another struggle and frustration. There were times that, yes, I was both mom and dad because my husband physically, mentally, and emotionally could not be there. What are some other struggles? I don't always like having to be the breadwinner of the family. So that's just a personal struggle. If you're a single parent, you're going to deal with that. I call myself a single wife because a lot of times we would go somewhere and my husband would either be emotionally shot, physically shot, or just not with it enough to have me, or have himself not being able to really talk to anyone or want to talk to someone. So it would be left on my plate a lot of times to jump in and really just keep the conversation going with friends and family and whatever, and it just sometimes it becomes wearing because days I would like to just sit and do nothing and not have to participate, but that's not the case. So as a wife, as a spouse, has it been difficulty? We are married. We will be married in a couple of weeks. Okay, change of location. Mom got done at Home Depot early, and so now we are over at, let's see if you can even see it. That's ShopRite. So she's doing her grocery shopping. So let's continue. So hasn't been difficult to be a wife of or a spouse of someone with a disability. 100%. When I got married, yes, I knew he had a disability, but I had no idea what my life would be like. And but I'll tell you this. I fell in love with a man named Graham many years ago, and I love him more today. And what I told our kids, and the best way I can describe it, is this. We are the Wilsons. We walk alike. We talk alike. And we stand up for each other. We are the Wilsons. We will stand firm. We will back each other up. And honestly, my husband would not be the man he is without his epilepsy. And here's how I explain that to my kids. I told my one son, I won't say which one, when they were younger and they were very discouraged about who they were, what they looked like, their appearance, and all the rest, that one day God had a big pot in heaven and he needed someone to do a job. And he looked down and he couldn't find anyone to do that job. And I'll just use myself as the example. And this is how I explained it to my kids. And he looked around and he said, I need a Lynn Wilson. So he poured a little bit of ingredients into the pot. And he poured brown hair and blue eyes and this height and that weight and this personality and these traits and these gifts and abilities. And it might have included autism or epilepsy or any one of those things, because all of those things stirred up together is what's going to create that person he needed. And if he didn't create me, I wouldn't be here to do the job that he needed me to do and to be the wife and the mother to these children and to this husband that I have. but he did need me. So he stirred up that big pot and added all those ingredients, and out popped a Lynn Wilson. I am unique. I am special. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Anybody can relate to that. I know I can. As a person, I don't have disabilities like my kids and my husband do. I have thyroid. I have low thyroid. So, I struggle with weight because of my low thyroid. I struggle with anxiety because of my thyroid. I struggle with panic attacks and things like that. I'm an introvert, so I struggle with dealing with people. So going back to being an introvert, I struggle with people because I'm always worried about what they think of me and how do I come off. And I think part of that is paranoia from probably the anxiety of thyroid, and your levels are off and all that kind of stuff. But I've learned to, through the grace of God, get over some of that, grow as a person. Getting on YouTube, I've had to put myself out there. My weight is out there. My messy hair is out there. My makeup when it's smeared is out there. My speech impediments, my misrepresenting my family, or misquoting, or stumbling over words, or slurred speech, my dyslexia. There's so many things. I mean, if I can give you more criticisms about myself than you could ever do for me. But I try and tell my kids to look at their dad. Here's the positives of being a spouse of someone with a disability. At least in my case, I tell my kids, look at your daddy. He's a strong man. He doesn't give up on life. He doesn't quit. He rises above the surface. He is a living example of beating the odds. He will not let anything get him down. He will not, he won't give up. He could have a seizure and 5 minutes later say, okay, let's go, let's do it. And I don't know that I would have the stamina that he has. And also, what's another positive? Again, he wouldn't be the man he is without his epilepsy. His epilepsy has molded and shaped his life, which has molded and shaped our life as a family. And what tips can I give you to persevere, to stick with it? Oh boy, that's a tough one. I can only tell you from my perspective. I'm not living your life. I don't know some of the struggles you've had, but I can tell you this. You have to try and stay positive. Now, that's not going to be on a daily. There are going to be some days you just physically, mentally, and emotionally can't do that. There are days I crash. I get that. But when you can, you got to stay positive. I have to be grateful for every little thing. So if it's a good day, I'm grateful. If it's been a bad day, I look for something in that day that I can be thankful and grateful for. And that includes me being grateful for my husband. So some days that means actually sitting back and having to think about what are the things that I am grateful for with my husband. What are the traits, what are the personality things that I like about him, that I love about him? What makes him unique and special? What makes him the man he is in our family? How has our family benefited from him? You got to look at those things. To me, you could look at any situation in life. You could be in any situation. It could be work. It could be family. It could be your spouse. It could be your kids. There are negatives to every single thing in life because life is full of negatives. But you have to try to remove yourself from that, to find the positive, to be positive, to live positive the best you can. Listen, bottom line is this: you have a choice. You can wake up today, you can be miserable, or you can be happy. Life around you might be miserable, life around you might be stressful and unhappy, but you still have a choice to live it the best you can. And you know what? At the end of my day, at the end of my life, I want to look back and say I did the best I could in every day, with my family, in my work environment, in my church family, in my YouTube family. Like, I don't want to come on here and say, rah, 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 and be this grumpy person on YouTube that you go, why bother listening to her? I want to be there to uplift you and encourage you and let you know there's raw realities of life. But you know what? Even in the raw reality, there's some good, there's some special days, there's some positive things. Find something today that puts a smile on your face. You know, my dad used to tell me, if nothing else at the end of the day can put a smile on your face, just get a bowl of ice cream. And sometimes that's what we got to do. Go get a bowl of, for me, it would be mint chocolate chip ice cream with rainbow sprinkles. And is that going to fix everything? No, but it'll give me a smile for a little bit. And then the next day I can hopefully wake up and it'll be a better day. So I hope that encourages you to realize that, you know, living with a spouse with a disability is difficult. It's hard on the family. It's crazy. It's wild. But there are some special benefits. And just remember, if you're the spouse, you might be living with the person with the disability, but you're not living with that exact disability, and you can only imagine what they must go through. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and leave me a comment. Thank you.